Children, I'm back with the horror story, A Face in the Dark, written by Ruskin Bott. We will continue from the second page. This story is of 2 pages. So first page we have finished in the first video. So now we will do the second page. Well, let me read. Well, what's the matter? He asked, his anger giving way to concern. What are you crying for? The boy would not answer or look up. So, here you see, initially he was angry because he wanted to find out who is doing this wrong, because the boys were not permitted to go out when it is dark. But now, though he was angry initially, now he is showing his concern and asked, what are you? Why are you? What are you crying for? Okay, so he wanted to help the boy. You see what he said here. What are you crying for? The boy would not answer or look up. The boy was not looking up. His body continued to be racked with silent sobbing. So the boy kept on crying and kept on shaking, but he did not look up. And you see what is given. Come on, boy, you shouldn't be out here at this hour. Tell me the trouble. Look up. So Mr. Oliver wanted to help the boy. He wanted to find out what the reason, why the boy was there and why was he crying, and that also with very silently, only though there was a shaking in his body. So he wanted to help. Now you see, now it is coming, the horror, actual horror. The boy looked up. He took his hands from his face and looked up at his teacher. The light from Mr. Oliver's torch fell on the boy's face, if you could call it a face. So the boy looked up. And here it is written, if you could call it a face, means when the boy looked up, through the torchlight, Mr. Oliver could see his face. Then next line, if you could call it a face, that means there must be something different, that it is a doubt. It is very much doubtful whether to call that face is actually a face. Why? It had no eyes, ears, nose or mouth. It was just a round, smooth head with a school cap on top of it, and that's where the story should end. But for Mr. Oliver, it did not end here. So, just imagine, you had met somebody who doesn't have facial feature. So, the look of the boy was horrifying. And at that moment itself, the story should have ended. But there is a little more. See, the torch fell from his trembling hand. He was so terrified that the torch fell down. He turned and scrambled down the path. So he didn't even see where he was going. He just ran as fast as he could. He was still running towards the school building when he saw a lantern swinging in the middle of the path. As he kept on running towards the school, suddenly he saw in the middle of the path there is a lantern. Means one lantern means somebody must be carrying. The lantern is swinging in the middle of the path. That means somebody is there who is carrying the lantern. Now see next. Mr. Oliver stumbled up to the watchman, gasping for breath. So he was running so fast that he was running unsteadily, and just he met the watchman and he was panting heavily. He was gasping for breath. Okay, then it is written, what is it, Sahib? Asked the watchman, has there been an accident? Why are you running? So the watchman saying that, sir, teacher, Mr. Oliver, watchman asked, what the matter? What's the matter? Why are you running? I saw something horrible, a boy weeping in the forest, and he had no face. No face, Sahib, no eyes, nose, mouth, nothing. So Mr. Oliver, somehow he told the watchman what he saw. So now next see. Do you mean it was like this, Sahib? Asked the watchman, and raised the lamp to his own face. The watchman had no eyes, no ears, no features at all, not even an eyebrow. So the watchman's face was same as the face of the boy's face. And then you see, and that's when the wind blew the lamp out. So the conclusion is very apt, children, because Ruskin Bund leaves the ending to our imagination. To our imagination. We have to imagine then what happened. Because he concluded here, and that's when the wind blew the lamps out. So when we read this, that this particular line, the wind blew the lamp out, it could mean that was the moment when Mr. Oliver died of fright. He might have got a heart attack, or it could simply mean that indeed there was a strong wind which blew the lamp out, because of which there was total darkness. And this man, Mr. Oliver, might have become unconscious, senseless. So what happened in the darkness, that is something we have to imagine. Okay, so I hope you understood the story. You just point out the meaning, what I said you separately, the meaning of the words, and meanings are there in your workbook also. So write the meanings from the workbook, listen to the explanation properly, read the lines, then it will be very easy for you to answer. So overall what we understood, it's a horror story, and very nicely Ruskin Bond used the elements of a horror story, what we talked at the beginning, fear, surprise, suspense and mystery, to explore humanity's collective fascination with the dark. What we got, what is written in your book in the first page, that in the introduction page. So it's about darkness. Okay, what gives a lot of interest to human being. Okay, so thank you.